2013 was a huge year for climate change. In fact, many different things happened, and you would assume that the press would cover these incidents. Now, just to give you a sense of what happened last year, carbon dioxide levels exceeded 400 parts per million. President Barack Obama's major climate policy address happened, and also there was the release of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change Assessment. So all of these issues, you would assume, the press is going to want to talk about it, right? Well, here's a little bit of good news. The mainstream press did cover climate change a little more than they did back in 2012. However, if you break it down and look at specific numbers, it's not all that great. Okay, so let's look at ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox in 2013. When you look at all of the Sunday shows, they spent 27 minutes in total, all four of those networks in total, in 1 year.
The great thing is that that's a dramatic increase from 2012, when it looks like they spent about 12 minutes.
I know.
I don't know that we can call that a significant increase. That's the same. It's none.
It's none, right. I mean, 27 minutes for the whole year. I mean, if you look at nightly news, it's about an hour and 42 minutes. And remember, you're dividing that amongst 4 different networks throughout an entire year. So it's depressing news, and it makes you realize, obviously people don't take climate change seriously. Some people do. I mean, if you look at public polls and public opinion, a chunk of the US population does see it as a big deal. But one of the reasons why the press doesn't talk about it is because they have certain interests that they have to appease.
Well, this is it's funny. I got the Twitter storm question. This is where we part company a little bit, where Cenk and I would, and where you and I do as well. The end result is the same, is that they don't do their job. And we agree on that.
Right.
The why, I don't know what their motivations are, and I'm not totally buying corporate interests and that anybody puts pressure on the executive producer of these shows to not hammer Exxon. I really don't think that happens. It just doesn't happen. I mean, those 3 things, which you used as an example of significant events that caused coverage, I mean, the release of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change Assessment, that's not getting out of a morning meeting. It just isn't. Because it's not. And so the ratings drive it. There's no edict from Exxon not to cover it. The beauty of Exxon is they don't need to, because that happens. Because that's left to PBS and long form stories, which no one really sees. And then they swing into action legislatively when they need to, when they sense something going wrong. Or if they're smart enough ahead of time, but if the pendulum is swinging, now we need a little campaign. And then I'm more on Cenk's side and your side of the phone calls that they'll make to the members of Congress who are amenable to Exxon, to use them as an example, to Exxon's point of view. But the media pressure, the pressure is what you said. The pressure is ratings. The pressure is delivering a topic night after night after night that the people will respond to, and that will get a number, and that will keep NBC ahead of ABC and ABC ahead of NBC. And that's always been the motivation. There was an era in the heyday of television news coverage led by CBS in the 1950s and into the 60s and into the 70s as well, where the CBS News division really didn't care about the ratings. That's always it. They always won. But, their mission was, we got to tell the people what they need to know, what's important.
Yeah, and I would love to use that strategy now.
Yeah, well, it's gone. It's not coming back.
So when it comes to the type of people that comment on climate change on these shows, 14% of the people that comment on it are scientists, which is really depressing, because those are the people that should be commenting on it.
1 in 7 is a scientist.
Exactly.
For that grand total of 169 minutes or whatever it is, or 129 minutes.
It's insane. Media figures make up the largest chunk, 43%. And when I say media figures, it's just, random pundits that want to share their opinion on climate change. Is it really happening? Is this something we need to worry about?
Look what they've done. Put up the pie chart again. That's really fascinating, because so you got scientists, I don't know who other are, but 14%. So you got the politicians, the scientists, and the other are probably people. The other are probably people speaking up for scientists, right? So they got to balance it out, because that average that's 28%. So politicians, 29% is probably contradictory. But 3 out of every 4 of those people are Republicans, because you can't find too many Democrats who are going to come in to contradict scientists on science.
I know.
Because who would do that?
It's Republicans.
It's crazy. Come on, man.
Yeah, well,
come on, man.
Hopefully that's news you can use, or snooze you can lose.